So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make two different types of cording that can be used for a variety of braids and weaves, but from a single stitch. There's just slight variations that you're going to make in order to get the differences. Now, the differences I'm speaking about, as you can see with this particular cord, you can see that I have the V-shaped tops of the stitches of the top loops on either side of this cord. And now with this knot work right here, you can see that I used this pattern in order to make a basic cord in order to weave into an attractive knot work. And this is going to be great for a variety of things. I'm going to happen to be sewing this onto a basic mitt that I made to give it the look of cable stitching without really having to do the cable stitching, because the particular mitt I'm discussing or I'm talking about is kind of a blank mitt. So that video, at least at the time of this recording, is scheduled to come out shortly after this one, so keep an eye out for it. If you're interested in how to make a blank mitt that leaves itself open to all sorts of different types of embellishments and approaches in order to personalize it. Next cord is going to be this cording right here. Now, this particular cording, the same width, one edge has this V shape on the top of the stitches, the two top loops of your standard stitch. And this side is basically made up of chains, like the single kind of chain stitch. Now, with that edge being like that, what I then do is I'll add a second color. And as you can see, this is a slip stitch, which gives that edging the continuity and, matches this edging over here in terms of look. So now you have that V-shaped look. The two top loops basically is kind of the look it gives it, but in a different color. So it adds a little additional visual element. So you can see I basically made a braid, a standard 3-strand braid, using this particular technique. Now, both the techniques I've discussed, they start off the same way. They pretty much end the same way. It's really just a couple of slight variations in the middle of the work that determines which cord you're actually making. Let me start off by giving a warm welcome. And for those of you who aren't in the know, my name is Sig. I'm a retired tattoo artist of about 20 years or so, turned fiber artist and passionate crocheter. And here on my channel is where you and I create a little magic with every knot. So don't forget to hit the subscribe and like buttons. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps me to provide you with weekly tutorials. Because I'm always interested in your feedback, feel free to leave your comments and questions below. I really do try my best to get back to everybody when a question or a comment is made. So now, with all the housekeeping out of the way, let's get started. So as mentioned before, I'm going to show you two approaches to this wide braid that can be used in a number of applications, but in this particular situation, it can be used in various weaves and Celtic knot work. I'm going to begin by making a slip knot. Then I'm going to chain 2. Next, I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into the second chain from my hook, and I'm going to pull up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull that yarn through the first loop. And then I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to pull my yarn through 2 loops. Now basically this is the start of that combined stitch where you can get your chain and your first row of single crochets done in a single movement or in a single row. But this isn't what I'm showing you today. This is basically the similar stitch, but we're taking it a step farther so that you can better see different ways that this can be applied to Celtic knot or braid work. So next I'm going to then take my hook and I'm going to insert it into this stitch right here, and I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull my hook through with that loop, and then I'm going to yarn over again. I'm going to pull that through the first loop. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull that yarn through the 2 loops. So now I have 2 stitches, a 2 count stitch. I'm going to continue this for my desired length. All right, so insert my hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, and then pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Again, insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through the first loop, then yarn over and pull through the next loops. Now I have 4 stitches completed. I'm going to continue this. Now that I have the desired length that I want, what I want to do is I want to make this particular braid. So as you can see, either side, and I have an example here for you. Either side, you can see where we have the V or the top loops of the stitches on either side. Now this leads for a nice clean strip or scrap of cording. So in order to achieve this look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 1. Then I'm going to turn my work towards me. And here you can see where the chain of the bottom stitch sits right here. Well, what I want to do is I want to get my hook and I want to put it through the chain, but I also want to put it through that back bump right there. So I'm going to then loop or yarn over and then pull up the loop. So I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through the first loop, and then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull my yarn through the second loop or the 2 loops. And that gives me my next stitch. So again, I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into what would realistically be this chain stitch there at the bottom. And then also I'm going to bring it in through this back bump right here. So you can see this is how my hook is going to sit. And then yarn over where I have the 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over, I'm going to pull it through the first loop and then yarn over and I'm going to pull through the 2 remaining loops. And I'm going to continue just like that all the way down. And what that's going to do is it gives me this particular braid or cord. So now let me go ahead and take this out. I'm going to take it back to where we began the second part of this. And then I'm going to bring this braid in. So you can see how this braid is a little different. I have the one edge that is basically your V shape. And then the other edge that you'll see more clearly when I move on to this is actually kind of this raw edge right here where you see the chain stitch, right? And that's going to be the edge that's going to be exposed. And it's that exposed side of the edge that I'm going to slip stitch off of to give this nice additional bit of trim or color to my braid work. So I'll show you how I do that. So it's the same, start off the same. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 1. And this time I'm going to turn my work away from me. And I'm going to insert my hook into the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull that yarn through, yarn over again, and then I'm going to pull that yarn through 1 loop. And then I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull it through 2 loops. I'm going to continue just like that. So insert my hook into those top 2 loops, yarn over, pull my hook through, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. I'm going to continue that for the length of my braid. So now you can see that I have the one side of my braid that has the V-shaped stitching, and then the other side of this particular braid basically has the chain look, the bottom stitching. And so what I'm going to do next, in order to achieve this 2-colored look for my braiding, I'm going to go and tie in my new color. And I'm going to do it on the side with the single loop, the single chain loop. And then I'm going to insert my hook into that next loop, and I'm going to simply make a slip stitch. So again, I'm going to insert my hook, I'm going to pull through a loop, and I'm going to make a slip stitch. I'm going to continue doing that all the way down. And when I've completed that, now I have a V-shaped stitch on the opposite side of my piece, but this time it's in a contrasting color. And then I braid 3 of them together and I get something like this. So now making additional embellishments could not be easier. I'd also like to remind you not to forget to check out my other videos in my various playlists for more tutorials like this one. So until we meet again, stay creative, stay amazing, have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.